So yeah, welcome to our Let's Go Zero webinar on Clean Air Day. We have some fantastic speakers for you from Global Action Plan. We have Sarah Johnston, Project Manager, and Jack Alexander, the Program Manager of Clean Air for Schools. My name is Alison. I'm a School Project Officer at Let's Go Zero, and we also have Max Evans, our Grants Coordinator, who will be today's question master. So at any point, if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box or the chat box, and we'll make sure that we get those to our speakers. So quickly, before I hand over, I'll give a brief overview of Let's Go Zero and the support that we offer to schools. So Let's Go Zero is a national campaign for all schools, colleges and nurseries to be zero carbon by 2030. At the moment, we have over 6,500 educational settings signed up to the campaign, and this number is growing every day. We work as part of a coalition. So Let's Go Zero is run by Ashton, but we now have over 20 coalition partners, including Eco Schools, WWF, Global Action Plan, and we work collaboratively. So we share knowledge, resources, best practice. We also have a number of partners, including the Department for Education's Sisterhood Programme of the National Education Nature Park, Climate Ambassadors, and the Sustainability Support Hub. So by signing up to our campaign, you'll receive our monthly newsletter, which has a lot of signposts to different funding pots, guidance. You'll be first to know about our competitions and webinars. We run webinars on like this one on lots of different topics. You'll also have access to our network of climate action advisors who work more one-on-one with schools to create bespoke climate action plans. So please do visit our website and have a look. All right, so I'm now going to hand over to Sarah Johnston, who's the project manager at Global Action Plan. So Sarah, I will stop sharing. If I can. Oh, give me 1 second. Oh, Sarah, are you able to start? Oh, there we go. Yes, over to you.
Unmute myself and there we go. Are you seeing what you should be seeing? I don't. People are nodding here. Now you can nod. I can see you again. Yes. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can see.
Amazing. Cool. Well, thank you so much for having us and inviting us to speak about Clean Air Day. So in terms of just sort of quick overview about how we're going to approach this. So my colleague Jack, who's also with us, is going to chat about our work in schools first. So it's sort of slightly reversed. And then I'm going to talk about Clean Air Day and what this year Clean Air Day looks like and how schools can get involved. Just because Jack has to drop off the call when he's done his bits. So as I say, we're doing it slightly reversed. But just to quickly introduce myself, yeah, I'm Sarah. I'm project manager in the Clean Air team, and I manage our Clean Air campaigns. And so we have Clean Air Day at this time of year. It's always the third Thursday of every June. And then we have Clean Air Night in January that's more focused on domestic wood burning, amongst other projects in our Clean Air team that I also manage. I will let Jack introduce himself. So I'll hand straight over. Here we go.
Hi guys, so I'm Jack. I am the program manager for Clean Air for Schools with Global Action Plan. And I think the idea today is that I share with you some of the work that we're doing in Clean Air for Schools, and there are maybe ideas that you might be able to harvest or draw out from the kind of work that we've been doing in the past year. An exciting moment for Global Action Plan. We've recently concluded our School Run Scandal project, phase 2. This is a continuation of a piece of work that we did with the FIA Foundation around COVID. And we delivered this with our partner in Global Action Plan, Polska. So this was a new schools program that we produced with Global Action Plan to bring a school in Merseyside in the UK together with a school in Warsaw in Poland. And our aim was so from an air quality perspective, to create healthy and safe journeys to school for each child. And we wanted to draw from our young people's experiences and understanding to share their views and their calls for action about air pollution in their own words. Next slide, please, Sarah. Thank you. So, and these, I've got two pictures. We've got our kids from Warsaw on the right and kids from Merseyside on the left. And I've just launched our showcase report for this, which is on our website. So if anyone wants to check that out before, after, during this call, please go ahead. We've got a video from the kids, them sharing the projects and sharing what they've learned. So a key activity that we ran with the kids was using this True Emissions Calculator. This is a tool developed by partners including the FIA Foundation to explore emissions for cars in their life. So we introduced the kids to Emissionsgate, to Dieselgate, and showed them using these emission tools that cars that people that might be at home might be driving are sometimes producing 10 times more pollution than they are marketed as producing. Next slide, please, Sarah. So we explored with our kids, we got them looking at the pollution that they are encountering in their lives. And then we got our kids to introduce each other. So to get them collaborating and working internationally, we got our kids expressing their passions, their experiences, and their feelings about their environment through an exercise that we call This Is Me, This Is You. So it was a kind of a chance for the kids to make postcards of themselves, really, to share with their kids in the other school. These are Year 9 children. I think I should have introduced that at some point as well. So yeah, well, there's perhaps a bit of work in warming up our Year 9s to really sharing what they're really into, what makes them tick. Next slide, please, Sarah. We introduced the kids really quickly to the kind of contours of decision making around them. So that might be local government in both Poland and in the UK, national government, and who's making the big decisions about the pollution that they might be exposed to. Next slide, please, Sarah. And then we had a brainstorming session, and this section on the left, it was our YouTuber style rankings. So we got the kids' ideas down and then we ranked them by impact and then we ranked them by achievability. So to try and focus in on some of the ideas that the kids had come up with that would have the most impact for their world around them. And some of their ideas had a very local focus, like improving the routes to school and improving safety and lighting. And some of the ideas were a bit more radical, a bit more like free public transport for the whole city, a bit more systemic changes that they wanted to see as well. Next slide, please, Sarah. Thank you. We transfigured this with a bit of art and a bit of love into letters that we sent to local councillors to get them to visit the school, to get them to come and hear what the kids had to say. So using the kids' words, we introduced the topics and what they've been learning about, and then wrote letters to our councillors. Next slide, please, Sarah. Thank you. And then in our final workshop, this is a picture from the Merseyside workshop that we did. We got our counsellors face to face with the kids, so the kids could present present what they'd learned, present what the injustices that they'd encountered about air pollution and about their exposure to air pollution. And then we got them to ask for the things that they wanted to be changed. So the kids in this picture asked for lighting and for rubbish bins around a really unapproachable alley near the school. So to clean up an area near the school so they could walk better. And we asked our councillors to be our champions, so to keep the to raise the bigger questions to national government and beyond. So I think that was a really valuable piece for the kids and really making them feel heard and feel respected in the conversation. A really quick one on this. So our councillors in the pictures pledged funding to clean up the alley that the kids were talking about. And they've invited the eco committee of the school to come and talk at another council meeting about their work. So really nice that we can kind of keep our connections going in, this is in the Wirral, after we've concluded this project. For a bit more context, we had 5 workshops with the kids, but there might be elements and activities that we've run in this workshop that can be used in anyone's Clean Air Day activities. Next slide, Sarah. Thanks very much. Another project that we're working on is with the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea in London, and we're looking at air quality audits. We are a subcontractor of our partners at Arup. Arup produce a technical audit report for a school, and RBKC can provide that school with funding to make some of their improvements that have been outlined in this report. Next slide, please, Sarah. Thank you very much. So this is just a wee taster from the report on the right-hand side. And then my job is to introduce the school community to the report in a way that's much more digestible. So a school will have a technical report with some quite crunchy recommendations. And then next slide, please, Sarah. And then I communicate kind of what those recommendations are to schools in a very much more understandable level. So some of these recommendations include things like green screens, things like traffic calming schemes, more active travel, and more awareness of pollution. Funding is available for schools to make improvements, and the workshops that we run with Global Action Plan engage the wider community and explain the importance of what we're doing and kind of bring everyone with us on that journey. So I think that gives a bit of a overview of some of the work that we're doing, and there might be some aspects that are more applicable to your settings than others. I think if I open up to any questions from anyone we've got on the call, is that all right?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I'm going to pass over to Max for some questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jack. Which is how is this all received by the schools themselves? So when they get these reports and they get these suggestions from yourself, are they receptive to that? Is this stuff that they want to do? Yeah, what have you found from that?
So we work with a range of different types of schools, from nurseries to secondary, to some more specialised settings as well. I think a really interesting conversation that I had was I adapted a version of this workshop that I normally run with year 5s in schools, and I had a conversation with the parents and staff at one of the nurseries that we worked with. So there's lots on community monitoring and showing when air pollution is particularly bad and when it's not so bad. And we wanted a way of being able to share that with parents, but in a way that didn't alarm parents, that no one is deciding not to bring in your kid to nursery on this day because we can see pollution is bad. So there's a bit of a step back sometimes in, making people aware without making them frightened. So I think that's maybe a useful learning that we got from one of our school settings.
Yeah, that is actually a really good point, isn't it? Because you want to get people on board, but you certainly don't want schools to not have their kids coming because of concerns around pollution. The other one, sorry, I know you've got to go, Jack, but the comparison between Walsall and Merseyside, was there a lot that came out of that? Like, did you notice some very big differences in culture and how people were getting to schools? I mean, I imagine temperature probably comes into it as a factor there.
Temperature absolutely comes into it, as apparently do wild pigs in Warsaw, but that was if that's my understanding of some of our kids' reports. Yes, obviously very different settings, but I think the the experiences and the feelings of the kids were really what was common between them. Both sets of kids felt that they wouldn't be listened to and felt they wouldn't be heard. And then, you know, through our different mechanisms, through different decision makers and lawmakers, we showed them that they will be heard. And I think that was maybe the most useful thing that we did as part of this work.
Great, thank you so much, Jack.
Cheers, guys.
Sarah, are we passing on to you now?
Amazing. Thank you so much for that, Jack. If you do need to drop off, feel free. You're welcome to stay, but I have a feeling, yeah, you need to head off. Okay, I will carry on then. So I'm going to talk about Clean Air Day to start with. So Clean Air Day is in its 9th year now. It started as an awareness raising campaign and sort of seeking behaviour change in more at the individual level. And in the last couple of years, we've been more and more focused on systems change. Last year was really helpful. We had the general election, and so we were able to use that as a hook to sort of demand more action on clean air. This year, there are other sort of hooks that we're using, which I will talk about in a sec. But just to talk a little bit about the reason that we do this, which I'm sure you all know already, air pollution being the biggest environmental threat to our health in the UK. And then obviously the burning of fossil fuels and forest fuels is also harming the planet, forest fuels being wood mainly. And then social justice element is around a lot of the time the people who are doing the polluting are not the people that are most affected by the air pollution that they're producing. So those are the sort of key areas that we're sort of looking to address with our work. And so 2025, the critical moments of 2025 are twofold. One is that the UK government has committed to reviewing its air quality targets. And the other is that the Royal College of Physicians, who released a report about the health impacts of air pollution in 2018 called Every Breath You Take, they are re-releasing that report with updated information, and they're re-releasing it on Clean Air Day. I think it's got a different name, actually. I think it's going to be called A Breath of Fresh Air. Yeah, so those are the sort of the two key hooks that we are using. And so we're going to be using that to call on the government to introduce World Health Organization air quality targets into UK law. And we're going to be doing that by highlighting the health harms specifically of air pollution and getting the health sector behind that call. So the way we're doing that sort of side of sort of bring the health sector behind it is by putting together a letter that has been co-signed by many actors in the health sector, calling for action on air pollution from the UK government. We've been looking for as many signatures as possible. So far, we're just over 330. So yeah, if you have any friends working in healthcare, please do send them the letter to put their name to it as well. And then what we're doing with that letter is there are a number of sort of walk and wheel events that have been arranged across the country. The main one is the one that we're arranging with Great Ormond Street Hospital in London, also with the Ella Roberta Foundation, which was set up by Rosamund Kissy-Debrah, who's the mother of Ella Roberta, who's the first person in the UK to have air pollution on her death certificate. And she's a big clean air campaigner. And so we are organising this event in partnership, and we're going to be walking and wheeling from Great Ormond Street Hospital to Parliament Square on Clean Air Day, where we'll be meeting a group of parliamentarians to hand over the letter. I've just realised this deck is slightly out of date, and I will correct it before we send it to Let's Go Zero to send around. The walk and wheel in Manchester is no longer a walk and wheel. I'm afraid there is an event happening in Manchester, but for various reasons they've had to amend it slightly. But that's being organised by a group called Mums for Lungs. We did discover this morning, we were emailed this morning by some health professionals in Brighton who are organising a walk and wheel there, which is very exciting. There's also an event in Birmingham where there's going to be a sort of a symbolic handover of the letter to MPs. So yeah, a few different events happening around the country. We also produced a pack for groups that wanted to create their own walk wheel, like Brighton, sort of guidelines on how they can do that. So that's the sort of the health sector focus of Clean Air Day this year. Obviously, there's also public asks because a lot of people don't work in the health sector and sort of can't sign that letter. We do have a letter that you can send to your MP asking for them to champion clean air. There's also a comms pack that anybody can use, including schools, which has got social media assets and newsletter copy. So you can use those in your comms internally between your, like if you're in a multi academy trust amongst you, or sort of externally as well, or to parents, you can use all the copy and assets for that. And the sort of the asks that are in those social media assets are find out more about clean air, directing people to the Clean Air Hub, which is a page managed by Global Action Plan, all about clean air. And it's got an ask about writing to your MP as well, so encouraging people to write to their MP. And then, of course, you can hold an event in your school or in your community. You can invite decision makers as well to attend those events. So that's sort of Clean Air Day 2025 in a bit of a nutshell. I put a list of things that we know is happening in schools this year. Clean Air Day, because it's sort of been 9 years in the making, it is quite a big campaign now, and it's taken on its own sort of force. And there are events that happen across the country every year that we don't know about. People know that Clean Air Day exists and they put on events. And so we're not always aware of everything that's going on, but these events I do know are happening in schools this year. I'm not going to go through all of them. You'll have the deck, so you can take a look in your own time afterwards. But workshops with parents, with children of all ages, and sort of using age-appropriate messaging, visits from local officials and media. Sort of in Birmingham specifically, alongside the event that I mentioned earlier, they are doing a series of workshops across the course of a day in, I think it's a primary school, and that's what that sort of list of bullet points is. So the bike session, greening and growing activities and so on, that's all happening in one school in Birmingham this year. Islington Council poster poetry competition with schools across the borough. As I say, you could do that across schools in a multi-academy trust, for example, and some events happening in Southampton and Hackney in London as well. Also a quick slide that I'm going to say have a read in your own time, but this is just some pages that I pulled from our Clean Air Day impact reports from the past couple of years of things that happened in previous years in schools. So perhaps the messaging won't quite match the messaging that I've just talked through. The orange pages are from 2023, and the focus there was mental health specifically, for example. So I think that they're sort of focused more on that. But if you have a look in your own time, then you'll be able to see some really great examples of things that have been happening in schools in previous years. And then my last slide is just some links to some resources that might provide some inspiration for what you could do in your schools this year or moving forward, or outside Clean Air Day as well. So we have some resources for schools hosting Clean Air Day events specifically. They put an asterisk next to all of them, and I don't know what that was for. I think that was because those resources, the page that links to, has some stuff from Clean Air Day 2024 on it. So just to be aware that if you're going to use them this year, they might not be, like, just to keep an eye out for references to Clean Air Day 2024 because they were produced last year. But there's still some of them really relevant and can be sort of rolled out across future Clean Air Days or as I say, beyond. GAP has some specific Clean Air Day resources for schools on our website. We've also got the Clean Air Schools framework, which is a free online tool to help schools create clean air action plans and tackling air pollution in and around the school. And then beyond GAP, you may have heard of Solve the School Run, which it started in London, is still quite London focused, but it's basically gathers data on how children get to school and then works with schools and communities to try and sort of affect change around safety and pollution and so on. And then School Streets, I'm sure you'll have heard of, supporting communities to place temporary restrictions on motorised traffic at schools around drop-off and pick-up times. So yeah, that's it from me. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Yeah.
I'm also going to stop sharing at this point, I think.
Great, thank you. That's really, really interesting.
No worries.
Yeah, brilliant, Sarah. So just a question from me actually is that something makes complete sense, of course, to kind of be talking about the health benefits of Clean Air Day as well. I just wondered whether you leverage any of the additional benefits that you see, kind of thinking like obviously the exercise of the students kind of now walking or cycling to school, or added learning improvements perhaps as well. Are those things that you kind of talk about as well as part of Clean Air Day?
So every year Clean Air Day has a different theme. And this year, because of the RCP reports, the theme is health. But last year, for example, the theme was active and sustainable travel. So it's slightly depends what's happening, how we can, where the hooks are for the project to sort of get the most attention for it for the day, I guess, for the campaign. It also slightly depends on funding. And sort of funder interests. But yeah, each Clean Air Day takes a different theme. So
that's quite exciting though. It kind of renews itself and then shows that there's a variety of benefits.
Yeah, exactly.
A slightly the other one, so 7 years obviously kind of took place, COVID happened between. Did that change what happened with Clean Air Day? Because obviously everyone was inside. I imagine, pollution levels went down a lot. Did you see, were people suddenly a lot more interested in the air that they were breathing coming out of COVID? Or
so I'm going to caveat that with the fact that I've only been at GAP for 18 months. So I wasn't around during COVID with GAP. I believe there was significant interest in clean air during COVID because it was an airborne illness, right? Or it is an airborne illness. So suddenly people are much more aware of what they're breathing and the fact that they are breathing in things that are harmful for them. And I think it also gave the organization quite it gave us a bit of a pause and sort of to stop and think and reflect and do some deeper research that perhaps there's not time for on a day-to-day basis, is what I remember people saying, but I don't think I can tell you more than that. If you have any specific questions, I can find out. But yeah, sorry, that's not super helpful.
No, very interesting. Yeah.
So I think we're literally at time. We have 1 minute left. So just to say that we will share those links that were in your deck with everyone who signed up to the webinar, and we'll also post them on our website underneath the recording. And finally, just want to remind us when Clean Air Day is.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I realised I didn't actually say that was in the deck, but I didn't actually say it. It's next Thursday. It's the 19th of June. It's always the third Thursday of every June. So hopefully easy to remember that way. I realise it's quite close to do something this year. Not impossible, but hopefully that sowed some seed of thoughts for
sure
future years, if not. Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of resources schools can use, and that page of examples of what schools have done in the past was really helpful. Yeah, thank you so much. That was really interesting. And yeah, I think we will finish it there. So thanks everyone for joining. See you soon.